We're in here for another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Welcome in, everybody, alongside Aaron Gershon of the Cat's Paws. My name is Vinny Hardy. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Kentucky, where we have tons of stuff to talk about, AG. I mean, tons of stuff this past week.
Yeah, loaded week. Got me driving again, doing radio duty, but this will be the last one. We'll be back in the office next week. But no, it's been a crazy, unfortunately not a great week for the basketball program by any means. Had the Arkansas letdown and all that led up and all that happened in that game and just the unfortunate result on the court. And then, whatever the hell last night was in Oxford. And I just got home from that a couple hours ago. It was a rough trip for the team down there, so we'll get into all of it. But it's been definitely been an eventful last 7 days since we've last spoken. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was the whole lead up. Everybody had this game circled as soon as Cal got the job. We had Porter Hayes from the Hog Talk on here with a little crossover, and I don't know if you felt the same way, but in talking with him last week, to me it came across they had no chance. They felt like they had zero shot of coming in and winning Saturday. He's like, let's just get this game over with and keep on going with our season and take our whooping. They had already kind of conceded.
No, they did. They definitely did, and especially Kentucky at the time is coming off a win at Tennessee, and that was the first game, since Gonzaga was out Lamont Butler. You felt like, okay, obviously you wish you had Lamont out there, but you can survive without him if you can go in and win on the road at Tennessee. Unfortunate reality of it is, if Tennessee doesn't shoot 11 for 45, you're talking about a 5-game losing streak right now.
Yeah.
So Arkansas absolutely deserved to win that game. They wanted it more. Calipari coached a hell of a game. It was, if he coached like that, I'm not even taking a shot when I say it, he'd still be the coach here. If he coached like that a little more often the last couple of years, I mean, he was the better coach, and his team was the better team on the court Saturday, and they deserved it. But, I'm just looking, with what Porter was saying, looking up through Twitter from their fan base, they were not expecting that. And, to their credit, their team went out and got it done. So you can't do anything from Arkansas's perspective and Coach Cal's perspective but tip your cap. But from Kentucky's perspective, putting all the emotional stuff aside, that's a quad 2 loss at home, a game where you never led in the second half, a game that you just got embarrassed in the second half. You let a bad offense score 89 on you with pretty much ease, and you just looked all out of sorts, and the moment felt too big. I asked Ansley Almanor after the game if he felt the guys were tense, because it looked it from my vantage point. And he said, yeah, definitely at points during the game, because they knew how important it was to the fans. So, I don't think it came out. I don't think it came from a place where the players didn't understand what was ahead of them. They didn't understand what the expectations from the fans were. I think that got in their head too much, and they tried to do too much at times, and they end up losing. And that would have been one thing if they had just lost that game. And even if they lost last night and they played well, and you lose to a top 25 team on the road in a close game, that happens. But, man, last night was just bad. And so it's been a tough 5 games, really. Again, if Tennessee doesn't shoot, if they just shoot 14 for 45, we're talking about – actually, not even. If they go 13 for 45, we're talking about a 5-game losing streak. I don't even know the last time Kentucky's lost 5 in a row. So, they're going through a rough patch for sure for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah, it's a rough patch. And outside of Auburn and maybe Alabama, everybody's had that at different points in times.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kentucky is right in the middle of it. You're right about the Tennessee game. That's the only saving grace. And I mean, maybe if they pound the ball inside, we still might be talking about 5-game losing streak when you look at it that way.
Yeah. I mean, look, and I'm not trying to discredit Kentucky at all. I mean, obviously they shot the ball really well. They got some key stops when they needed it. They hit some big free throws down the stretch. But Tennessee, they did not get the best version of Tennessee that night. I mean, so, we'll see what happens when they come to Rob next Tuesday. But, we easily could be talking about a 5-game skid right now.
Yeah. And first of all, Pacquiao should take the count. Like no one's hard to get two of everything. And that surplus of depth is taking a hit. Obviously, Kerr's been going now, out, and Carr's down, and they never were confused with lockdown defenders, even when they were at full strength. And so now, when your rotations in flux, the defense is just, Sheppard isn't the
Oh,
word. Last night, it was so
yeah,
easy. I mean,
yeah,
anything
it was
punished, they
terrible.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much going wrong defensively. Look, even without Lamont Butler, this was a defensive team that was struggling and wasn't very good or efficient on that end of the court. But it's completely unraveled since he's gone down. And it's. I asked Mark Pope about it last night. Is it with the three specifically? And there's one stat to me that's just mind-boggling. But with the three specifically, is it not closing out, or is it your scouting report is saying one thing and another thing's happening? And he talked about it being both, and he's right. I mean, look, Malik Dia, nice player at Ole Miss. He had a really good game at Arkansas. He was big in their win over Alabama, but it's a guy who's shooting, I think, in the high 20% from three, shoots them flat-footed, and he's making threes on you, and things like that are going to happen. But you got to make that adjust. When you see he's going to hit it, okay, you get on him. And I thought the Arkansas game was more. The Arkansas game, Big Z was getting wide open looks from three, and that's a 40% three shooter. So I don't know if it's scouting. I don't know from the bigs if it's a lack from Amari and Brandon just not going out and chasing down threes. And obviously it's more than just the bigs that are hitting threes on them, just about everyone. And teams are attempting, I think it's 33 threes per game against Kentucky in SEC play.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Kentucky wants to be doing, and they're not doing it.
Yeah.
And I think I calculated it last night. I don't have it in front of me, but Kentucky, I think they've shot 123 threes the last 5 games, and they're shooting like 42%. So if they could get more up in the air, they might even still be able to pull some of these games out, even with how poorly they're playing defensively. But the staggering thing is opponents have gotten off 168 threes on them because they're open looks, and they're shooting 37%. But man, if you take that Tennessee game out, I'd love to know what the percentages are. So it's defensively, I think it starts with the 3-point defense, but they're also getting beat on straight line drives. Teams are getting to the paint. They're finishing down low. It's been messy. And Mark Pope tried to mix in the zone last night. He did it on one possession. He played a 1-3-1. They scored on Ole Miss scored on a wide open three, almost immediately, and so they ditched that. They just can't do anything right on that end of the court right now. And again, it's not like yes, they gave up 102 to Alabama. Alabama, we know, is a juggernaut offensively. Vandy's picking. They only give 76 to Vandy. They're pick and roll offense. They give teams problems. Tennessee is a good 3-point shooting team that had an off 3-point shooting night. They scored in the low 70s. That's where you want to be. But for Arkansas, not all the Cal stuff aside, like just talking pure basketball, like Arkansas is a bad offense, and they score 89 on you and hit, 55% from three. That's unacceptable. And then the other one, last night, Ole Miss is bottom of the league in offensive efficiency in all offensive categories, and they scored 98. And it could have been even more. So, just awful defense.
Yeah, and, Big Z looked like he did in his Georgia debut at his first game at Rupp last year.
And then he looked like Steph Curry mixed in.
Yeah. And Amari had the 4 triple-double in school history. That's amazing. And he's picked up his play. You can see him kind of,
no question.
He's realizing, when he's a mismatch, they've been able to go to him and he can get buckets in the post and just take his guy on the block, all that. But the first 2 threes he gave up, Mark Jackson, every time you watch an NBA game, hand down, man down. No contest at all.
It's really weird that he doesn't play defense with his arms up. I've never understood that one.
And he's 7 foot. I mean, he had a height advantage over the shooter last night.
Yeah,
we've met in person several times. You're 8 inches taller than I am, Aaron. If you come out to me with your arm up, it's I'm gonna have to think about do I want to arc it over you? Do I even want to shoot it? Do I want to pump fake and try to go by you? I'm gonna think of. I got a decision to make. If you come out to me with arms up, if you come out to me with hands down, I'm letting it fly. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's bizarre, and and I wrote about it last night. There's just more questions than answers with this team right now, and that's not a place you necessarily want to be on February 5th or whatever today is. So there's a lot of issues right now. It mostly I mean, they're still. What's crazy is they're still number 2 in the country in offensive efficiency, which is a school record in the Ken Pom era. Problem is they're 114th in defensive efficiency, which is a school worst in the Ken Pom era. So, and you get a trip. Also last night, just to show how weird of a game last night was, you get the 4th triple double in school history, and you also have 2 guys post zeros across the board, and they played over 13. Poor Trent Noah. I'm not really going to get on Trent too much, but Ansley Almanor, who's been really good for you lately, doesn't even get a shot up.
Yeah.
Doesn't even record. Can't get a rebound. He's your starting 4. That's unacceptable. It's just I'm not. It's unraveling in the moment. I don't think it's fully going to unravel here. I have enough confidence in the coaching staff, and if they can get Lamont Butler back, I think he'll be back. I don't know when exactly. I do expect him back at some point here in the next few weeks, but right now it's ugly. And Saturday is a must-win. There's no. If they lose that game, a quad 3, that would be a quad 3 loss to a team that hasn't won yet in the SEC. And you look at the rest of their schedule. You have Tennessee's coming in here. You have to go to Texas. You have to go to Alabama. You have Vandy coming in here who already beat you. You have to go to Oklahoma, who's been good at home. You have to go. You have Auburn at home. You have Missouri, who's really good on the road. If they lose this game Saturday, then we could be like, oh my God, the NCAA tournament's at risk. That's how serious it would be. So they got to take care of business Saturday. But I'll say for now, I don't think it's fully unraveling, but there's some real issues right now.
And this is, facing a team that, beat us last year, different coach and all that. South Carolina's been a thorn in our side for a while.
Yeah. 2 years in a row.
They've gotten blown out and taken some terrible losses, but they also gave Auburn all they wanted. They had Florida beat. They had 39 minutes and 58 seconds and found a way to lose. So you can't just say, "Oh, it's 0-6 South Carolina. We can get right." Now you better lace them up and really, you're going to have to beat them. They're not going to lay down for you.
No, they're hungry. They want to win this game. I don't know enough to say if Lamont Paris has kind of been a weird tenure where year 1 they were I think they were 10 games under 500. They came in 2nd or 3rd last in the SEC. Terrible year. Then last year they come out of nowhere. They win they get to the NCAA tournament. Lamont Paris, I think, was the SEC Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. And now this year they suck again. So it's I don't know if he's really in a hot seat situation, but yeah, they're not going to lay over. Even, like you said, they've given a lot of good teams some problems. Colin Murray-Boyles, their sophomore forward, is terrific. They have a transfer from Alabama, Nick Pringle, who's played well against Kentucky in the past. They're like you said, they're not going to lay over. They're going to come in here hungry, and they're watching the tape. They know. And by the way, they're a pretty good defense. I think they're 32nd in the country in defensive efficiency. Their issues are on offense, and we've seen Kentucky make some bad offenses look pretty damn good.
Man. Yeah. Got the Trent Noah angle too, because he would have been playing for them had Cal not left.
Right. So. Yeah. And so this game is. It's not a gimme. It's their easiest game left on the schedule on paper, but with the way there's a lot of pressure on them. The pressure is all on Kentucky Saturday. There's no pressure on South Carolina. In the eyes of everyone else and everyone in that building, they suck and their season's over and meaningless. For Kentucky, they have everything to lose. And we saw, Arkansas, I thought they came in. I know we're going back and forth between the 2 games, but they're very similar from a disappointment standpoint. But Arkansas, what I thought, and both DJ Wagner and Adu Thiero talked about it post game. Cal talked about playing fearless. They came in with that exact attitude. They were like, you know what? We're playing the 12th ranked team in the country. It's Cal's return. Kentucky's, they're sold this game out months ago. They're camping out. Everyone's picking Kentucky. We got nothing to lose. We're 1-6. Let's go out there and just lay it all on the line. Whatever happens, let the ball let the chips fall where they may. Whereas Kentucky came in tense and they came in feeling the pressure. And you know what? Arkansas won the game, and I think in large part because they felt loose and Kentucky felt tense. So that's exactly what it's going to be like on Saturday. Now, there's not the same emotions. There's not going to be the same crowd. It's a noon game. You're not going to have the build up where it's waiting all day and night. But the pressure is one-sided. There's no South Carolina is coming here with absolutely nothing to lose. If Kentucky wins, no one's even going to remember. No one's going to remember this game because it's just like a game you're supposed to win. So that scares me a little bit because this team has struggled in these spots this year. We saw it. Ohio State. Everyone expected them to win that game. They were like, "Oh, this is a boring matchup." Ohio State kicks their ass. Georgia going down there. Kentucky's coming off the win at Florida. Well, I don't know what that was about. But again, Kentucky has just struggled. They have struggled mightily this year when the pressure's been on them, and we'll see.
Against unranked inferior opponents, it's you got was the Aaron Harrison. I think after the loss to South Carolina, when they were reeling in 2014, said it's going to be a great story. Well, tonight Pope says we got a lot left in the tank, and you're going to be really proud. So
he said that last night too. Yeah, look, you hope so, and you can say all the right things, but you got to go execute and go back your talk up, and it's just got to start on the defensive end because they're the number 2 they're the number 2 most efficient offense in college basketball. With all the issues they had last night, they scored 84 points on a really good defense. Mm-hmm. So it's like, just can you hold the team under 80? Mm-hmm. Like, we're not asking. They're not going to become Tennessee overnight. I get it. No one's asking for them to become Tennessee defensively. Just become Florida or Alabama. That's all people are asking.
Mm-hmm. Just put up a little bit of resistance, Of course, we're coming to y'all courtesy of the Believe Podcast Network. So, as always, subscribe and like and review YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Follow us on Twitter, everywhere on all the platforms, TikTok as well. Got the link tree. If you follow us on Twitter, hit the link tree. You can get access to all the platforms. So, subscribe, give us a review, give us the 5 stars. We definitely appreciate it, and appreciate all those who've already done so. The lead up to Saturday, your perspective of the building, you were in there, the reaction to cheer, to boo, be silent, all of that, and when Cal actually walked in, just all of that from your vantage point, AG.
Oh, it was electric. Usually I would say on a normal game, in the SEC, take non-con out of it. Usually everyone's in their seats with like 6 to 7 minutes before tip. Everyone was in their seats with 45 minutes left, just waiting. And it's custom now where the head coaches don't come out at all during warm-ups. They wait until 2 to 4 minutes before tip. So people were already in their seats knowing damn well Cal wasn't going to be out there yet. They just wanted to be sure they were ready and they were there. They had their beverages, their food, and whatever, and they were ready to go when that moment came. And it was, you just feel the electricity. The students were out camping out, and you saw the long lines walking into the building. They let them in early, and they're already up filling. You have 3 now. How UK does it, I think they have like 3 sections in the lower bowl on the baseline. Not on the. I guess it's behind. I think it would be Kentucky's bench. I think it's on. It's behind Kentucky's bench. They have like 3 or 4 lower bowl sections, and then they have obviously the eruption zone behind the basket, and then for overflow it goes up into that section 240, 241, and all of those areas, including the overflow, were completely packed and filled to the gills with 2 hours left till tip. Unbelievable showing from BBN, and you feel bad for those who were there and their a long time and there till 11:30 at night till the game ended. It was just they showed up and they showed out, and they were definitely. I'd say Cal was more mixed than TV showed, but it wasn't like no one was giving him a standing ovation. So the boos drowned out the ones that were clapping and kind of just acknowledging. It wasn't like it wasn't as lopsided as it felt like it sounded on TV. DJ Wagner definitely got the brunt of it. He was mostly boos. Unfortunately, Adu and Z got a lot of boos, but it is what it is. But every time DJ touched the ball, they were booing until the second half, and when he was just lights out, and they stopped booing. They were booing. They just weren't booing Arkansas. They were booing Kentucky. But and something that it was just like a weird feeling, at least for me and for I know some other people I talked to, where like, and I think we talked about with Porter, like Arkansas and Kentucky is a rivalry now. Like take Cal out of this and take this whole thing. But the '90s when they were the two best teams in the SEC, they would go at it in the SEC tournament championship all the time, or SEC tournament semis. Even the 2015 and 17, they meet in the SEC tournament championship game. 1978 Final Four. Like, there's a lot of history. Eddie Sutton before Cal, John Pelfrey, former Cat goes. Like, there's a lot of overlap and a lot of emotion when Arkansas and Kentucky get together. There's some great individual games. The Arkansas tip-in 2014. Malik Monk going back to Fayetteville. Like, there's history there, and I just kept forgetting they were playing Arkansas. It was like they're playing Cal, DJ, and Adu and Z, and then some other guys in red. And it was interesting. And I'm not even trying to take shots, but it just felt, after the game there was no. And Cal was very gracious and classy in his press conference, and so were Adu and DJ. But there was no mention of like, yeah, we wanted to do it for our fans. Yeah, Arkansas. Like Arkansas means a lot. It's just it feels like it's still. It's definitely you're glad that era's over, so you have like this semblance of this means something about Kentucky. Like, and I'm not even trying to take a shot. It was just a weird feeling where it legitimately felt like the game was Kentucky versus Cal. Like it did not. Like Arkansas was just there, and they're good for their fans. That's a big win. Their Kentucky fans were talking absolute crap for months on months, and Arkansas fans had to eat their crow for a little bit, and they got a huge laugh, and they have every right to say whatever the hell they want at this moment. But it did have a weird vibe to it, where it was kind of like, this is Kentucky versus Cal. This is not like I've covered 3 games in Fayetteville. I've covered plenty. I was at the Tyler Hero on a bucket game against Arkansas. Like I've covered some really good Arkansas Kentucky games, and like I had to remind myself, like, man, this is Arkansas. It just feels so different. It was like. And the tension in the building, it was an incredible environment. It really was. Unfortunately, Kentucky let down a really good crowd. It was a letdown.
So the Arkansas, and I think that's already been a gripe probably from Cal. The disconnect from they don't feel connected to Cal. He's there. But he's, we talked about him not calling the Hogs, and he barely even wears a red jacket. They finally do that now. So they don't feel he's one of them. Is that what you're trying to say? They don't feel like he's a Hog.
I'm not going to speak for Arkansas fans, but I definitely didn't get a sense he was the head coach of the Razorbacks. I just got a sense he was the head coach of a team. Like it didn't feel like he was. Again, there's just like. You would think with all the emotion and like all the big vitriol and all the talk between these fan bases, someone would mention, yeah, it was good to get this one for our fans. And there was none of that. It was weird. It's weird. Yeah. And look, if Arkansas and Cal, if they end up winning games, I don't know what, I know they're playing tonight. I don't know how they're doing. But like, if they end up getting on a hot streak, or they have next year they get the ball rolling, whatever, they'll latch onto it and be okay with it. But I got more of their like he hasn't embraced us take for sure.
I forget what I was reading. I think they're up like 19-12 on Texas right now. But it was I thought there's been stuff written about they already don't feel a connection to Cal, and it was to the point that he's a polar opposite of Musselman. Like Musselman,
Oh my God, yeah, Moss is
Musselman,
over the top.
he tried too hard. They were like, "Yo, dude, calm, hey man, he's dial it down a little bit." And now Cal's coming in, and there's not speaking for them, but just based on what a few writers' opinions that he's not connected to them at all. But yeah, it's
Look, he said
but
it best, and this is not even a shot. It's just speaking truth. He said, "We're just moving headquarters,"
yep.
and we all know at the end of his tenure here in Lexington, it wasn't necessarily about Kentucky fans or the state of Kentucky or this historic program. It was more about Cal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's. But you know what? If they win tonight, they get hot. They or next year, they have a better recruiting class coming in, and he builds the roster up, and they have a really good year. They'll live with it and be fine with it because winning
Mm-hmm.
cures everything.
Yeah.
But it was like it was just strange. It was very strange.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. Oh, one thing strange, maybe a way to describe it, or it was upsetting, it was irritating, but a lot of people were upset at Reed Sheppard for his
Oh.
clothing choice. So
Yeah, look, I agree with them, and I usually don't. Like when I saw PJ Washington went there, like PJ Washington went and worked out there, and he was wearing Arkansas stuff. I didn't really care about that. But you're Reed Sheppard. Your dad was Mark Pope's roommate and teammate. You're literally even fans ignored the fact that you were terrible in that game against Oakland and terrible in that SEC tournament against A&M. They love you that much. Where look, there's not a single guy on that St. Peter's team that is loved like you. Or there's really, I don't even think, maybe Rob Dillingham a little bit has, there's a lot of love, but there's not a lot. Like Antonio Reeves doesn't get the love, like for what all he did. Reed Sheppard is probably, I was before all this happened, probably up there with Oscar Tshiebwe, the Harrison twins, AD and John Wall, like most loved players of the Cal era, like universally loved, and Tyler Eulis. Why on this day do that? And look, I totally get Cal's his coach, and he was teammates with three of the guys, coaching staff. I get all that. All you have to do is honestly, if he just reversed it and wore a UK shirt, I think fans would have let up. But I just think a kid from Kentucky, he has every right to support his coach, and I get no problem with it. If he wants to wear Arkansas stuff tomorrow or for a random Tuesday when Kentucky's not playing and Arkansas has a big game, fine. But to do it in that order of operations on that day when you're from London, when your dad, and your mom played here, and your dad was literally the coach of the Mark Pope's teammate, brother, whatever. Not just bad PR decision by Reed, and I think fans should give him eventually get over it. There's some that ain't gonna get over it. This is as stupid as we're talking about a T-shirt at the end of the day, and as stupid and minuscule as that sounds, I know there are fans I genuinely know that will not get over that, and he will not get a reaction from them that he would coming back as a Y at Kentucky, for example, that I think he would have 5 days ago before he made that decision. So, he said after the game that he thought it would be funny. I don't know who told him that would be funny. Just dumb, just not smart, and I get it. And I think again, I have no problem with these. Cal coached these guys, and one thing about Cal, love, hate him, mad at him, mad at the last 4 years, fine. His players love him, man. They love him. Even guys from that 2021 team, that stunk, they loved Coach Cal, and they admire him, and they played hard for him. I never, even the last 3 years, from the players, yeah, there were some games where they were clunkers, and I never thought anyone genuinely quit. I thought Cal quit. I didn't think the players ever quit.
Yeah.
So it was just, to me, not smart. And and then the Jacob Toppin stuff and Ty Washington and I think Davion Mintz on Twitter, like those three guys, like whatever. You guys won. None of them won anything here. The fans get nothing but unconditional love. There's no reason to go do that. Whatever. Like if you choose to do that, you'll be forgotten about quickly. But for Reed Sheppard, the Kentucky kid, legacy recruit, dad is a two-time national championship, and all the connections he has in close relationship with Mark Pope. Just to me, you just weren't reading the room. It just like go wear your overalls. Like don't go doing that. Like I get it. Like I get it. I genuinely get it.
And I guess I don't know, but I'm desensitized to it because I didn't really, pay a lot of attention. But looking at it now, yeah, you set up the Arkansas Twitter because they put hogs on top because you wore the shirt over the shorts. So that was that was an alley oop that you lobbed it up, they jammed it in.
Yep, no doubt.
I think what made me realize that this is just how it is. When Walter McCarty brings Evansville in and they beat Cal, all those 96 guys were happy because they're coming in rooting for Walter. Their teammate beats their alma mater. So like Tony Delk and Cameron Mills and DA and all those guys, that's when it shocked me and surprised me. And I think that's why I didn't really give a lot of thought to what was going on Saturday, because the shock for me was like, oh, they're pulling for Walter over Kentucky. Oh, that's how. And look, so dudes just roll with their coach. People, Rick Pitino's coaching Louisville. Yeah. All those 96 guys, Wayne Turner's on staff. Guys like that kind of stuff. So
but you never saw those guys going out and wearing a Louisville shirt.
That's true. That's true.
You don't see DA or Tony Delk, our guy. Take Mark Pope out of it. He's on the team, obviously. Jeff Sheppard. Whoever your favorite 96 cat is, take Mark Pope out of it. You don't see him wearing St. John's gear.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're rooting for St. John's to win every game. But they're not going out wearing St. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you, when the NCAA, if God forbid Kentucky and St. John's play in the NCAA tournament, none of them are going to be wearing red. Like, they can pull, and I guarantee you they can pull for Walter for sure, and I get that. Mm-hmm. Were any of them wearing purple? Were there any purple shirt pictures?
I don't think. No, that's very true. I was numb to it, but at the same time, I can agree.
Were any of these guys wearing? I know they. Okay, well, I'd love to go back. Like, were there any pictures of any of them wearing Utah Valley stuff when Utah Valley came to Kentucky in 2017? I'm just saying. Like, I agree. There's just different ways to go about it. If Reed Sheppard can pull for Cal every game, even if he was rooting for them to win, whatever. Just don't do that. Don't make a PR move that is so
egregious.
Yes, especially when you're from here. Yeah. It's one thing with all the guys, and you're right, like the guys from the '96 team, but outside of Cam, and I might be missing one or two, none of them are from Kentucky. It's different.
Anthony Epps is from Kentucky.
Anthony Epps.
Yeah, but then Walker and all those guys from out of town. But
it's just
I can see why everybody's upset. It didn't bother me because my shock was already gone when I saw what I saw. But Reed, I guess, took it to another level. So I guess even
just don't do it on that day. Not smart.
Yeah.
Not smart. And again, I have no problem with him. He has every right to pull for Cal every day, all day. DJ, the coaches, Kareem Watkins, whatever, like every right. But if you again, I would put him up there with the guys I mentioned as the most beloved players of the Cal era, and you tarnished that. I'm telling you, just from the vibe around town here in Lexington, he has tarnished that. And I don't know if that's fair or not. It's just the reality of the situation.
Yep. For sure. Got to give love to the women's team too, real quick. 19-2.
Keep winning.
Won at ranked Oklahoma after beating ranked Alabama at home. I popped up to Lexington and watched them play Alabama. Historic Memorial Coliseum looks
Beautiful now.
amazing. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's they did a wonderful job with it.
Yes, they did. Still got the fans in there, big, huge ceiling fans, the old school touch with all the modern
Yeah, awesome.
amenities and all that. So
Awesome.
great job. 19-2. Georgia Amore, 43 points. Just
Yeah, you only get like what the only bummer with her is they only get 1 year of her, so like 4 or 5 home games left. Try to get out there if you're a local here, because
mhm.
he's up there with one of the best in program history. But they're a buzzsaw, man. They obviously they have the meat of their schedule left, but 19-2, that is incredible stuff. So
Yeah.
keep it up. It's been fun to follow them.
And she's gonna be so tough to replace, as far as
Oh, it's like replacing Ryan Howard all over again. It's impossible.
yeah, and even just the connection between her and Kenny Brooks, the coach quarterback kind of deal. And he constantly talks about mini me. She's in the meeting. She wants to be a coach. She'll come over and say what we should do, and I'll go with certain suggestions. And so they've had that relationship over all this time. And so
Yeah, it's hard to replace
next year coming in, the point guard, Tyler's there now, and whoever else they bring in to run the team, it is going to be a big drop off. And his recruiting is already off to a great start, but it's you can't replace what you had with Georgia for those 4 years. But
well, the good news is you're going to bring back one of the best bigs in women's basketball, and Claire Strack. She's got 2 years left. So, but yeah, enjoy the ride with this team. They're fun, and Amore is a absolute superstar, no doubt. Top 10 player in the country.
For sure. And we talked about, those who listen to this podcast, we talk food and restaurants and stuff about Lexington and, places to eat. And I don't know if you got a sweet tooth or not, Aaron. I don't know if you love sweet. Okay. Are you a big fudge guy? Do you love
I will dabble in that. I'm more of an ice cream guy. Okay.
Because before the game, we popped into Dalhousie Fudge on Woodland.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, dude, look. If you want to advertise on the show, feel free. But this is a free plug, a free plug for Dalhousie Fudge. Adam in there is amazing. I already followed him on TikTok. He does. There's a chocolate and mint fudge. There's a cookies and cream fudge. He did it's called a Wildcat fudge. It was like a blueberry fudge. Oh my God.
Good to know.
Yeah, Dalhousie Fudge.
That's very close to my east, so I'll check that out.
Yeah, so y'all pop in there if you're in Lexington. They ship. If you're not in Lexington, they will ship your stuff. He said the only thing is if it does ship, don't let it just sit in direct sunlight. When it gets spring and summertime, you got to get it on.
You got to get that inside.
Yeah, for sure. But shout out to Dalhousie Fudge. Is a go get your sweet tooth fixed when you go in there and get some fudge.
Nice.
But man, like you said, South Carolina coming in, you gotta get yourself off the mat and find a way. Find a way
to get that
for sure. But man, appreciate you as always. Everybody, go to thecatspaws.com. You get the know your opponent pieces. You get football, baseball, and softball coming up. It's already that time. So we had the pressers for Coach Minge and Coach Lawson. So we just rolling right along. So hopefully we can see the Cats get out of this funk that they're in, because it's rough. And you just don't want to see all these good wins get wasted that they had.
Yeah. You gotta get the ship righted again. And the good news is, you still have half the SEC games left. You have a lot of quad one games left. But it starts with South Carolina. You got to take care of business, and it'd be nice. Win first and foremost. Never apologize for a win. It'd be nice to get a nice, comfortable one, because even in they've had a lot of good wins, but they haven't had that feel good. We kicked their ass win in a top in a power conference game.
And you gotta get out to a good start to do that. You can't be
you can't. No, they have fallen behind by 7 or more in 9 of their 15 power games. You gotta stop it. It can't go on. Can't go on.
Absolutely. So with that, we'll put a bow on another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Again, like I said, y'all check out Aaron and all his work and follow us on all of our platforms. We definitely appreciate it. Go to Dog Who's Fudge and get you some fudge when you get time. You'll definitely be glad you did. You can thank us for it later. So we'll power out of here for now. But for Aaron Gershon, this is Vinny Hardy. It's been another episode of Believe in Kentucky on the Believe Podcast Network. Stay safe, stay warm. We'll holler at y'all later.